What's up YouTube? Welcome to another video. In this video, actually, I wanted to recap some of 2019, some of the highlight reel, I guess you could call it. This is actually an exercise that I bring up in one of my courses. The peak mindset principles is that throughout the year, there's going to be a ton of really good stuff that happens, and you should, especially in the beginning, and when you're trying to rebuild self-esteem, which most people are, it's important to really remember those things and to write them down and track them, and then at the end of the year, really look back on your year. And this is why setting goals is so important. You notice we keep coming back to common themes here. Peak performance really isn't that hard. It is a lot of doing the things that nobody else is willing to do, okay? You know, we're gonna talk more about this in the upcoming weeks, but the amount of people that give up at the 25% mark or the 30 days in, the amount of people that give up 2 weeks in on New Year's resolutions, the amount of people that give up, 60 days in on New Year's resolutions. New Year's resolutions is a small part of the problem. The bigger part of the problem is that people just don't have what it takes to be able to start something and then finish it. And this is all because of habits that have been formed. We'll talk more about that. But today, I wanted to go back through some of the highlights that I thought were important, okay, for this year, for what we've done. One of the things that I do at the end of the year is I go back through the year. And I go back through the year from a money standpoint, and how much revenue did I make, and how much, how good did the businesses do, how much revenue did those make. And then the other things that I look at is, like the total volume. I try and get a sense for the total volume of what I was able to handle in that year. And I think that's more important, especially for people who are looking for inspiration, especially for people who are looking for they're looking to really kind of class themselves up against what others are doing to see, am I able to get a lot done? Is this a lot? Or is this not a lot? And so I think stuff like this is really, really cool. So this is by far not a complete list, but it's enough of a list that I came up with like 15 minutes before I shot this, and from some of the notes that I've got from doing my year-end prep, okay? So the first thing I want to start with is what you see in front of you here. And this is by far, I think, one of the coolest things, because I've always been a really data-driven person. I've always been really aggressive with when I go do research, I just dive deep, right? And my Google Drive that's, maxed out at about 15 gigs worth of all notes and, these reports and stuff I've never published, and all the deep dives that I go into and the notes that I keep track of, that's proof of, just how crazy I get with some of this stuff. So what you see sitting in front of you is 14 out of what will be a total of 16 reports that Empire Research has published this year. Empire Research is kind of the branch off that I decided to go with. After we pivoted through crypto and macroeconomy stuff, I just said, okay, let me create a brand around this, because we got something here and it's getting a lot of attention and there's a lot of people interested in this. Let's create a brand around this and build this brand up. And the intention of building this brand up is, at some point, I like to set this up fairly early on, is to set it up to be ready to sell in case I ever wanted to exit, which I think would be cool too, to sell that research company off at some point. But this is 14 reports that predominantly me, I've had very little help this year, has written, proofread, which, there's some sentences that don't make sense and some proofreading that I missed. I don't really care about stuff like that. The overall data and how it's laid out with what you can then do with that, I think, is more important, because data by itself is worthless. Like, if I don't know what any of it means, or if I don't know what to do with it, then there's really no point in looking at it. It's just masturbatory. But anyways, so these are the smaller reports, and there's, I don't know, maybe 10 or 11 of these, and then we've got 4 of the bigger ones, which most of you should have this. Excuse the print off. It was awful. Color printers on the fritz. So this is was the 2019, now is the 2020 credit boosting hacks. That is downloadable for free, which I'm telling you, this is better than what people charge money for. I've downloaded a lot of these guys' stuff. You got to understand this. I go out and do market research, and a lot of the stuff that people give out is free downloads and things like that in the credit repair space is crap. It's like dispute letters that are generic that you can go and get off of the Homestead website yourself, or just stuff that's really low value. That is step-by-step exactly what to do, breaking down the pie chart of the FICO score, helping you really understand those things, and what to do if you're rebuilding, and then what to do if your score is already good. 2019 Trends Report, we will be breaking that down together very, very soon. I've got a separate video I want to do with that, breaking down what I got right, what I got wrong, and then, obviously how you can get access to the 2020 report. Quarter 3 macro, this is the first one that we did. We're going to start doing every single quarter. You can see that's pretty fat. It's about 36, 37 pages. There'll be one of these every single quarter now. We weren't doing that up until quarter 3. What I had done to catch up most of the year was I did the Global Reset Report, this bad boy right here, which is about 60 plus pages, which all of this stuff is, to me, insanely valuable. Maybe to other people, they don't care. But again, it's all in what you do with it. So this for me was actually a huge accomplishment, which, outside of the money stuff and, had really great results with crypto trading and been really, really profitable with more specifically Bitcoin trading in 2019. But, this is the stuff that I really look at, because I look at, how was I able to perform under pressure? That to me is more important. How much was I able to handle? What was my capacity? So anyways, let's go through some of this. All right, so just some buckshot stuff here, and I've got sticky notes, yes. 70 videos uploaded on Jameson Brandon YouTube. That is not including and counting Crypto Junkies YouTube, that I didn't do many uploads on this year, granted, but I would say maybe 10. And then Empire Research, which we kind of stopped doing uploads on until we get ready with new studio and make this next jump, which there's at least 10, 12 videos on there. So maybe closer to 100 total videos for the year. Not bad, not bad. Reports, there'll be 16. You see 14 in front of you. Macro emails. This is the one I thought was going to be really, really high. I thought it was going to be over 200, almost. We started the daily email, the Empire Alert daily email in April 3rd. And since then, I've almost methodically done Monday through Friday. And so right now, at the time of shooting this, there's 180. By the time we get through the rest of this year, it'll be pretty close to 200. I might even put out extra emails just to get over 200 this year, because I think that'd be cool. Started doing a mindset email series as well, which is just mindset.substack.com. I was amazed that I actually got that URL, but anyways, started that in October. 24 emails already sent out on that. Okay, built 3 websites from the ground up, which it's been a long time since I did that. It was a big pain in the ass. Built 3 complete membership sites as well. So this is like, multiple modules, some of these 5, 6, 7 modules, just stacked with content. A lot of the research that I'd put in then got translated into these membership areas. So the 3 membership sites took a lot of time, and they do take a fair amount of updates to constantly keep them up to speed. Built 11 sales funnels. This is another thing that, I hadn't touched a lot of this stuff in a long time, a lot of the marketing stuff. So I built 11 funnels by myself, did the copy, which the copy on some of them is not that great, I'll admit that. But built the funnels from the ground up, order forms, whole sales process, sales flow. That was cool. I didn't realize I built that many, but when I get into it and I get into, my flow is I just go. And go and go and go and go, and I don't really look back, right? Outside of quick reflections and stuff we've talked about, productivity stuff we've talked about before. We set up 9 total entities. I didn't set these up, but lawyers did for this year. So the foundation and a lot of the stuff for what will come in 2020 has been built out and getting established, okay? There's 3 other businesses that I've helped essentially start and get off the ground. All right, got over 50K in funding, not gonna say the exact amount. Built a garage, not from the ground up, but completely remodeled the inside of it, and did a lot of, it was nice to get back to, did a lot of interior and working with my hands, interior work, working with my hands, stuff like that, which I like. I'm a builder, right? A lot of us are. And so I have to constantly, touch stuff, make stuff. And so that was cool to do that. Did a fair bit of that this year. Moved house 3 times and traveled over 7,000 miles. So flew over 7,000 miles. I have no clue what I drove. There's a decent amount of mileage that I drove as well, but flying back and forth between the US, Singapore, Bali, Thailand, Japan, all those places. I didn't go to Japan last year. Thailand, Malaysia, that's what it was. Bali, US, yeah. Anyways, so it's just proof of what can be done. And looking back on it, you don't really realize what you get done until you do something like this. The point of this video is to get you to do something like this, to sit down and really look at what you got accomplished this year. It could be down to the little things. Like, I didn't track the fact that, you know, I take 3 to 4 baths/cold showers every single week. And that's just a new norm. For a lot of people, like, to break out of their comfort zone, they're like doing cold showers for the first time. That's like my norm, my routine, right? Doing things like that, the amount of running and fitness that I've done this year. So let's look at the opposite side. That's recovery. Let's look at active physical fitness. So dropped 13, 14 pounds this year. Was able to recover from a sickness that, blood work, stool work, urine work. It didn't do hair analysis, but I probably should have. None of those things were able to figure out what was going on with me. Was able to, through homeopathic, I think that's called, medicine, was able to get myself fixed up. And then, I got fat, so I was able to lose a lot of that weight. And I'm sitting at about 217, 218 right now, which I like. I'd like to get down and drop another 10, 15. As I'm training for this upcoming year, you remember I talked about doing ultra, and I want to do an Ironman, which is intense. That's intense for a year. I think what I'll probably end up doing if I make any change is just 200-mile races. I don't know. That might actually be easier. And it might be easier from the standpoint of some of the travel I have coming up this year and not being able to train for triathlon, okay? Biking and swimming might be hard pieces to train for with some of the travel that I've got. So it might just turn into like running a shitload every week and then just work through the ascension of getting up to doing the 100-mile race and then maybe just do it back to back. Because after you pop that first one, from everything I've researched and everybody I've talked to, it's pretty easy to kind of really quickly go back and do another one, all right? So as long as the first one didn't wreck me too much, maybe I could just do something like that. But training's going extremely well. I've gotten a lot of my strength back. I'm more focused on functional training now, which I'm enjoying, Up until this point, I've just focused on powerlifting, bodybuilding kind of training, and it's boring. It's fucking boring, to say the least. And especially after you've done it for 12 years like I have. I've been training. So I've been training for a long time. And that stuff just gets boring. It's like you go in and you do the same shit. And I'm not trying to be a competitive bodybuilder. So, at some point you just got to kind of ask yourself, why am I doing this, right? So anyway, training is going extremely well. I'd worked myself up to doing 20 miles per week. All those things are now just staples and normal pieces. And this is what's possible when you just take things step by step. But you're never going to know that unless you sit down with yourself and kind of go through your year and look at, how you did and then how we can make things different for this next year. Because granted, there's a lot of things I didn't accomplish. There's a lot of things that I shared in the Discord, that I wanted to get done, which I don't even know how many messages and conversations I had in a Discord this year. Probably in the thousands. How many alerts and reshares and things that I reposted in there, I have no clue. So there's a lot that I was able to get done this year. And there's a lot that I didn't. And I look at both. I look at both columns. Like, what did I get done? And then what turned into me just talking shit and not getting through it? And how can I, change that for this upcoming year? I've got big plans for the upcoming year. There's a lot of really exciting things happening. So 2020, I think, will be a very questionable year too, which adds to the excitement because there's going to be a lot of opportunities. Now, a lot of people want to take this uncertainty as fear, but it doesn't need to be. It can be whatever you make it. And this year could be your best year. But what it's going to take is it's going to take sitting down, going through and kind of getting together your highlight reel and all the things that you really did want to accomplish and you even shared with other people to lock in that accountability, but then still came up short and still didn't do. And those aren't failures because those, I guarantee you, had the biggest lessons in them. And that's where we need to look for what we can change for this upcoming year. But this is the time you should be doing stuff like this. We're at the end of 2019. Everyone's slowing down for the most part and getting ready for Christmas. Now's the time to do this. I'd love to hear if you've watched this and you have not thought about any of this, just quickly off the top of your head, come up with 3 or 5, share in the comments below. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up. If you're brand new to the channel, subscribe and hit the bell notification. If somehow you've gotten unsubbed or you're not getting the bell notifications, then go ahead and click the bell notification again. Be on the lookout. Got more videos dropping very, very soon. Very excited for some of the stuff that I've got coming up for you. All right, my friends, see ya.